Alrighty, welcome folks. We are going to get into a week 3 matchup here for the CTL season number 12 between LiT eSports and Guns N' Roaches. LiT eSports, of course, this is their first season ever in the CTL, and Guns N' Roaches, this is their 12th season. They have participated in every single season, so two very, very different teams in terms of history at least. But of course, each CTL season is something in of itself, and they are completely all different. We'll go ahead and get into our first match. It's going to be a gold versus gold match, TVZ on their elect crest, spawning here in the bottom right in red for LiT eSports. This is excloud. And his opponent up in the top right in purple, our Zerg player for Guns N' Roaches. This is deathangels. With the sick cancel to get an extra drone out before his overlord pops here. So TVZ layer that crest, they are relatively close to each other here with these vertical spawns. It's not quite as intense as if they were actually spawning horizontally, but this is still a pretty easy path for the Zerg player to take. If you were to go for something early, like see a lot of small number of Roach Ravager pushes coming out in the early game from Zerg players against Terran, just to annoy the front wall, just kind of sit around and be a nuisance, prevent the Terran player from actually getting to his natural base the way that he wants to. And of course there's all kinds of other fun things that can happen in the early game, but not too much exciting from either player, extremely early at least. I mean, deathangels did go hatchery into pool and gas, and excloud on the other side did get down his first barracks and then his gas, so I would expect to see, well, maybe a Reaper, actually just going directly into a reactor. So he's going to go directly into the reactor, not spend any of his gas on anything but I assume a factory coming up eventually, unless he wanted to go for something like 2 Reapers initially and just get them out at the same exact time rather than getting 1 and 1, but most likely will just be some Marines to start off the game. And he will go from there and see what he does with his gas. SCV here for excloud is going to be able to get in and see that, hey, his opponent did take that hatchery quickly. That pool did just finish up, and he did kind of barely see a drone mining, whether or not he was actually looking at that. He's probably, at this level, probably more concerned with the fact where his opponent is rather than what exactly is he doing right now. He just wants to know where he is, so he can think about what he wants to do a little bit later on in the game. We do have a very quick factory here from excloud. They just have a couple Marines out and on the map here. They could, they could go down into the natural and probably pick off this overlord, which would be super, super annoying for our Zerg player, but they're going to stay nice and safe up in the main base first, and there are a few Zerglings running across the map right now. It's only 5, so it's not a huge amount or anything, but there's 1 Marine here. This bunker isn't really up just yet. So at least, if nothing else, excloud did get his command center finished, so you will be able to have that finished. You won't have to cancel that or delay the wow, nicely done of actually picking the SCVs. That's something that most players won't actually do, is they save 2 of his SCVs, but he's picking them up into the command center. There are a couple of Lions moving or being made out of this factory here, so the Lings do see that and they will run on home before they do end up getting killed. But a nice little initial win here for our Zerg player. His speed is about to finish up, and he is just happily droning back home. He's not, doesn't look like he's going to be trying to attack with just the speed things, which actually would, if he were saving up larva and were wanting to do it, could do a lot of work. I mean, there's nothing really at the front here. He's got, excloud has 2 Hellions. He's making a 3rd command center even. I mean, he does have a starport, which you could, I guess, make a liberator from, but like a ton of speedlings right now would absolutely ruin excloud's day. It could probably win the match here initially, but it is kind of an awkward map for a Terran player to try and wall off if he wanted to wall off his natural. I mean, you can see him, he is making the bunker next to his command center rather than trying to actually wall at this ramp, since it is such a large ramp. But with the rock change on this map, you don't have to worry about 2 directions at least for a little bit of a time period. Speedlings are kind of coming into the natural base, but with 4 Hellions here, they shouldn't be able to do really too much of anything. Well, they could pick off a Hellion, which would be really nice, but smartly he does just walk on home. He's not going to deal with that. I do have an Evil Chamber coming from Death Angels, so that will actually unlock the Overlord drop if he wanted to do that, but he also does have a Roach Warren, so it's probably more just he wants to get an upgrade somewhat soon. First Liberator is out here for excloud. Walking across the map, he's going to actually run into quite a few Overlords on his way over. So this is definitely seen by Death Angels. He knows it's there, and at the same time, excloud is trying to push out with just Hellions on creep. There's not really much here. There's just a few lings, and there's a Queen just to shoo those Hellions away initially. But at the very least, it will force excloud or Death Angels back into his main a little bit. There's a Spore Caller that's actually finished up here in the main base for Death Angels, and he saw that Liberator was being like, no, I'm not going to screw with that. Throws down the Spore Caller, and actually the Liberator is going to get any kills. It's going to get 1 kill. It's going to get 1 kill, but it will go down before getting anything, any further damage done. And excloud, this has not been the greatest of starts for him, to say the least. He is actually going up into, it looks like a mech play. Adding on a couple more factories here right now. He is just still making, well, he's got a couple of Widowmines on the way. I think probably realizing that he doesn't really have much to defend if Death Angels just walks across the map with a bunch of Roaches. He's got these Hellions, but Hellions aren't going to do too great against Roaches, and he lost his first Liberator even, so he doesn't really have anything that's really going to frighten Death Angels right now. So Death Angels sitting pretty here in the early game here with a 9-worker lead and a bit of an army supply lead as well. Somewhat of a tech advantage, but as these tanks do start rolling out here for excloud, he's going to be nice and safe. He's actually, well, he started to float that command center over, but take a wild guess that he was trying to make his CVs and re-rally SCVs that he was making to the natural base, and lifted command center was still not hotkey. Nothing I've done ever, promise. That's why I don't, it's not why I exactly know what just happened to him. So it's a bit of annoyance, but he will go float that back over. Use silly command center. So we do see the range upgrade coming out here for our Zerg player, so it will just be initially Roaches and Ravagers. Do we have any Ravagers made? 1 Ravager made. 1 single solitary Ravager. Liberator is just kind of poking around trying to find something to kill. There's actually a lot of Overlords out on the map that if these Liberators weren't on just move commands, they would stop and kill, which would be really nice, but he seems content just to walk around the map with the Liberator, actually doing any damage. That's quite a few Ravagers. He does not want to try to siege this Lib up right here. It would go pretty poorly for him. Actually, one of my shots going to do some friendly fire damage trying to kill while they kill off an Overlord. So that kind of sucks for him, but Ravagers they're pretty over this. I mean, one of my shots have all gone off, and none of the tanks are actually sieged up, so Death Angels is just going to start pushing forward, and excloud is wisely moving his tanks as far away as possible, but Corrosive Bile shots, actually, I think every single one of those Corrosive Bile shots whiffed completely. I don't know if they actually hit anything useful there. A couple tanks are sieged up, but likewise, this Orbital Command is sieged up. It is taking a lot of damage. There are a couple of tanks in decent positions that are getting some shots off, getting some kills. But the CC is under a lot of fire, and Corrosive Bile going down, taking out that last Liberator, but at the same time, this tank does finish cleaning up that force from Death Angels. He does have some he had lings. He had some lings, but Widowmine's just chilling out here in the open. 14 kills on one Widowmine. There's 9 on another one, and then 1 each on the other 2, so 25 kills on those Widowmines. Yeah, he'll take that. That reinforcement of lings just got completely melted by these kind of forgotten Widowmines, probably by both players. No, we'll say excloud knew exactly that was going to happen, so he placed those there for that reinforcement. That's why they're there. That's totally why they're there. That's totally why they just got 14 kills on a single Widowmine. That's kind of ridiculous. Huge bank here for our Zerg player. Just needs to find something to spin it in right now. How much larvae does he have? He has 18 larvae. He's just not making anything. I'm not sure if he's... There we go. He did just make 18 Roaches. So 18 Roaches, a Spire coming up as well. So he did finally spend some of that money, but now he's pretty gas starved. He needs to go ahead and take a 4th base as soon as he can. Meanwhile, excloud with a pretty small force is going to start kind of pushing out on the map and see what he can get done. He is scanning forward and wants to clear out some of this creep and wants to also make sure he's not going to get ambushed by the Zerg army. There isn't too much of an army here, just a few Roaches and a few Ravagers. So this Terran force is going to have to back up, but Widowmine's here. Going to get some nice shots off. A lot of damage and a couple Roaches to go down as well. Another couple of shots going down, and this AoE damage is doing a lot of work here. A lot of these Roaches are very low health right now. There we go. Death Angels willing to buy an Overseer, and there we go. 3 Overseers at once being morphed in. He's like, I'm pretty over having to deal with these Widow Mines. So he will morph for some Overseers so he can actually start taking those out when he walks by them. He could, just use Corrosive Bile, look for the shadow when he's near. Actually, I think he probably can see the shadow of one. You can see the shadow of one of them with this overlay kind of sitting there. So he could take some Ravagers and just Corrosive Bile this little shadow and kill it off that way, but with the Overseers, he should be just fine. Do we have any upgrades for our Terran player? Yeah, he's got Blue Flame. He's got Blue Flame, but no actual army upgrades to speak of. One wouldn't mind scurrying away, trying to get away, and those other ones did get taken out. It's a lot of tanks you do not want to engage up here, but he's going to anyway. Zerg army just completely melts. That's a bit of a swing of army supply there. Bit of a swing. 12 Roaches in production right now, which is going to even up the army supply, but now we have the Terran player that's actually moving across the map, and once a mech player is moving across the map, you're already kind of in a bad spot, because he's just going to start leapfrogging tanks forward, and unless he starts making something that can actually shoot from farther away than these Roaches and Ravagers, he's going to have a rough time. We do have 7 Corruptors on the way here for Death Angels, but it's not like he's got a Greater Spire. He doesn't have a Hive on the way either, so the Corruptors aren't really going to be able to do too much except take out these 2 Liberators, but he's going to have to deal with the actual ground force still at some point as well. Last Widowmine finally does go down, but not before it got another kill, so good for it, and Death Angels just kind of suiciding Roaches into these tanks here. See, 56 army supply to 36, but again, this is a lot of kind of wasted army supply here for our Zerg players. 7 Corruptors that are going to go after 2 Liberators. That's not exactly the best of trades he wants to take here. I mean, sure, I guess they could go after some buildings. There's not too many turrets. And actually, there's a bunch of SCVs repairing this bunker right now, but excloud's starting to siege up this 3rd hatchery over here, and really nice. Well, he's got these nice clumps of tanks. He's actually doing a lot of friendly fire damage with these tanks, the way that they are situated. But he will take out this base. He's taking a lot of drones at the same time, and even getting some, well, I'd assume some repair mules, considering this tank's at 6 health and this one's at 18. But mules repair, you're not actually repairing, so these are the worst repair mules that were, I don't know, maybe they were actually just manor mules that really should just repair right now. Oh, they're gonna get taken out. Lings come in, but Blue Flame Hellions do a pretty good job against unupgraded Lings. We got 5 Roaches in production right now. It's just there's nothing really left for Death Angels. He doesn't have Larva. Looks like he's been missing quite a few injects here. 200 energy on the Queen and the natural, 180 on the Queen and the main. And he's starting to lose hatcheries, and the tanks are just sieging up wherever they damn well please. Death Angels trying to make some emergency spine crawlers, but I mean, they'll finish, but that's about all they'll do. Roaches do get on top of a couple of these tanks. Honestly, probably Mutas would have been the better choice rather than these Corruptors. I mean, there are some Thors on the way. I think excloud probably realizing the fact that, hey, the only thing that could actually kill me right now is if there were suddenly like 30 Mutas that cleaned up my entire army. That would suck a lot, so he's making 3 Thors at a time, and he's still just going to keep pushing in. And okay, are these mules going to repair? Yeah, there we go. Now we got some repair manor mules. Good job. excloud still just pushing on in, and there we go. GG from Death Angels. He is going to tap out, and LiT will take a 1-0 lead here in this best of 7 series. So, congrats to excloud. He will give his team that 1-0 lead. We'll get into our next set, which is going to be a plat match. It's going to be a TVZ. Once again, that seem to be seeing a lot of TVZs, which is actually kind of surprising in CTL. At least it's not ZVZ, right? But we're going to get into our next set here shortly.